Ralph's the only one left.
This should be interesting.
I don't think I know that many.
11:37. Right on the other side of.
Wait till winter gets here.
Yeah, but we get the air conditioning on. When did we get it?
It was 10:30. Or no, it was 11. 11:30. Yeah, 11:30. So we adjourned at 10:20 and then 11:30.
Yeah. That isn't too bad. This is a show.
This is not bad.
I'm gonna start having a punch guys.
Yeah. I gotta stop taking a potty. That potty will travel.
Like a tailgate party. Like right outside there waiting for you.
11:40. As soon as we get everybody here.
I just had to run the cycle.
There it is. Sandalwood. Quiet. We resume the meeting. It's 11:42 by my little thing. I think you could hear that. I know. In executive session, we covered a few items. And first one is that we discussed is the 4-H contract, which we do not have a contract with them right now. It was never signed. Until we get the parties together and we can work out a contract, it is the will of the board that we're going to suspend everything associated with the 4-H section activity-wise until we can get a new contract in place. As for the board appointment vacancy, I'll let you handle this. Sandy Hagan, would you please come up? We'll go swear her in. No Bible. Right away. Over there. Just go over there by Jody.
Well, welcome you to the board of directors. Would you repeat this? I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will uphold and support
that I will uphold and support
the Declaration of Protective Restrictions,
the Declaration of Protective Restrictions,
the bylaws and regulations governing the administration of Fort Clark Springs Association,
thank you, the bylaws and regulations governing the administration of Fort Clark Springs Association,
I further swear
I further swear
that I will represent the interest of the membership
that I will represent the interests of the membership
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Sandy?
Thank you.
Now, going in line with how this works now, in case anybody out here hasn't got an inkling from having our lawyer in here to explain this to us on the code in 209 00591. The appointment of Sandy is not till March. It is to finish out the whole term of the original elected person, which was back to Debbie, then the other appointment. And so now that's the way it'll work from now on anybody that's appointed to the board to finish out somebody who leaves the board. It'll be the whole unextended term.
So what does that mean? Till when?
That means she's here for a couple of years,
Okay, good deal. Good.
if she can put up with us. Yeah. All right, the next thing we discussed was the implementation of a time clock system. We're going to go forward with a time clock system to go further along with what we're trying to tighten up, save money, blah, 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 keep track of everything that goes along. I know my wife doesn't like blah, blah. But this will be a software program it'll keep us in touch with all the various employees that we have, coming, going each day, and whatever they're away for. It'll make a much better record-keeping system, and we'll have it right at our fingertips without having to go looking through 9,000 pages. And that is the end of the...
Wait a minute. I thought Robbie was gonna make a statement.
Oh, you're going to make a statement now, Robbie? I don't know.
Yeah, in view of the recent changes in our financial department, I thought it would be wise to tell everybody some of the reasons those changes were made and part of the things that led to them, I guess. After the last lady quit, one of the things in going through the books and the safe and all that, there was over $70,000 worth of deposits that had yet to be made, all from September. They just had never been made. There's been a lot of slack, I guess, in the bookkeeping department, things that weren't being done in a timely manner, or being done at all. Like Jody had mentioned earlier, they went to close out the year and started with last year's bank statements. None of the bank statements have been able to have been reconciled within a few $100s. They just can't balance the books, balance the checking account. That's quite a problem when, you know, everybody has to balance their own checking account. When you can't balance it at your house and you can't balance it at a company, there's a big problem, and it leads to poor financial information. That's one of the reasons the audits cost so much money, is because the bookkeeping staff here could never get any of the check statements balanced, and they wouldn't do the credit card fees, where you have to, there's always a percentage when you collect on a credit card, then the company that, like Fort Clark Springs, has to pay MasterCard or Visa or Diners Club or whoever the credit card is, a percentage of that. So you don't realize all that money. Even if you charge $45 for a room, you'll lose anywhere, I don't know, 1.5% to 2% you'll have to pay to the credit card company for using the credit card. None of those things had been done throughout the year. The auditor had to do it last year, and it took him well up into that's one reason we couldn't get the audit in time. It took him about a month or so to figure out and balance all the credit card fees. So there've been a lot of problems in the bookkeeping department. I mean, there's just a lot of them. That's one of the reasons I ran from the board, was to get the financial statements in order and to see where we're really at. And from early on, there was just no way to tell. You'd go to look for financial statements and there weren't anything. If they were incorrect. They didn't add up. If you just added the numbers up like I did on the one for the motel this month, we get a spreadsheet for it, but the numbers don't add up. It says expenses were $1,300 for the total for the motel and the utilities or something. I forget what it was, but the light bill was $2,200. How could the total be $1,300? You know, those, and it gives you a faulty report on the ending. Had made 26,000, I think. Yeah, we had our motel revenue was 25,898. The motel profit or loss was 23,000. Well, the expenses were over $4,000 just in one department, so that the number's not right. I mean, if you take 4,000 from 25, you don't get 23. It's not, I mean, you can just look at it and tell that it's wrong. How those reports get generated and passed on to us as board members and the rest of the public, you know, when you can just look at it, I'm dumber than a sack full of hammers. I still move my lips when I write my name, and if I can look at it and find a problem with it, there's a real problem. So hopefully we have somebody in the bookkeeping department now that is going to reconcile some of this stuff and put things in generally accepted accounting procedures. I've only got a little bit of bookkeeping classes, but the things that I find wrong with this stuff are what you learn in the first 16 weeks of bookkeeping. So I don't know what had happened in the past, and if it's a computer problem or a management problem or the individual problem, but there was a big problem and it's not being rectified. I don't think fast enough, and I know everybody's working on it as diligently as they can. I pretty much think we ought to shut the fort down and get the books in order first, but that's probably not feasible. But we need some reliable information on it, like this month, and there's always an excuse, and there's a good one this time. You know, the bookkeepers are all changing hands, but we don't have a financial report. We didn't have a good one last month. You know, and the month before that, it was because the top system was going to be implemented, and there was a lot of mistakes in that. So, you know, it's been 3 months since we've seen financials that were even wrong, let alone seen anything that was right. So hopefully we've made some changes here and things will pick up in the near future. Thank
I
you.
have one question on that. If the bookkeeping was that messy and we had our annual audits from this term, how could they ever have agreed to them and said, you know, everything is good? And
I don't have a clue, and I
Can
haven't got an answer to that question really from the auditor. I mean, I've got a lot of reasons and here and why, but in my mind, it never should happen.
No.
That's why I'm not in favor of paying that auditor another $20,000 this year. But I don't know what our options are at this point in time either.
Okay.
You asked the question as to how we could get an audit report when the auditor did. What happened was that our auditor was going in and reconciling our accounts for the year that he was auditing, which an auditor shouldn't have to do. And that was one of the reasons our audit report was so expensive. So hopefully with the new system, when we're putting in place a new computer system, we should be able to reduce our auditing bill, and as Robbie said, get a decent report. We appreciate you bearing with us, but you know, changes come. It took me almost 3 years to get in to start digging into the accounting system, because I was told I wasn't privy to the information. Once I got in there, I'm going to throw out a figure to you. I figured up that we're delinquent in debt, $1.4 million. And this is how much money is owed to us on our delinquent accounts. They're talking about active and inactive delinquent debt. And I have a hard time separating the two, because when I went down, I took what they call the inactive delinquent file, went down to the appraisal district and randomly picked out 3 names on the inactive list, and the appraisal district had been in contact with all 3 names. Some of them present, but within the last 3 years. So for our department that was in charge of, the person was in charge of basically overseeing all this, we wound up winding up being $1.4 million in debt. Now this didn't happen overnight. So what I did was take $1.4 million and divide it by 50. which is basically what I figured we was losing a year. And it wound up for 28 years, our collecting department and chief of the collecting, we averaged losing $50,000 a year. Now, if we had that 1.4 million today, we'd be looking pretty decent. Not real good, but pretty decent. And that's all I got to say. I mean, once I was able to get into the accounting office and start digging and stuff, Jody has found a lot more than I was able to because she had more privilege. But it's stuff like this has wound up putting us behind the 8 ball, so to speak. And I appreciate, I know some of you people out there don't like me, but if I tell you something, I'm telling you the truth. I don't have to lie. That's all I got to say. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Yes, sir?
Yeah, I'd like to be recognized and call for a special meeting because I do believe we do have a contract, a valid contract,
No.
and we paid that tax we agreed to back in January, so if y'all gonna terminate that,
Well,
what
it's,
would owe us for 2 months of taxes, which is about $31.
Make an appointment with Jody. Make an appointment with Jody. Please.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, sir.
All right, I'll try this again. It's 11:55. Meeting adjourned.
all in favor?
Never make a motion. A motion. He wants a motion.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
Motion? Yes.
All in favor, raise your hand.
You don't need a motion. I know.
I don't know how they can reconcile
Okay.
it. Just finding a lot of. Assuming it's illegal. Way back.